May I take this opportunity to invite the minority leader in the National Assembly, Mheshimiwa Opiyo Wandayi, to also come and make some comments. Mheshimiwa, you are part of that particular process. What is the space of the citizens?
The space of the citizen. Actually, the citizen has a special space in all this. Let me start by acknowledging my leader, His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, my colleagues, na wananchi watukufu. Hamjambo? Amka! Amka! Stay woke. And I want to pick it up from where Okango has left. But first and foremost, let me say thank you to the organizers of this wonderful conference. When I got the invitation to this conference and I came to learn that this is a citizens' dialogue conference about topical issues, I said I will have to come in person. And that is why I am here. I am extremely delighted that the citizens themselves have turned up in their numbers. And that's a demonstration, Kevin, of the importance and the significance that is attached to this event. Before I briefly touch on Nadco, let me talk about what is most critical. What is in the minds of every Kenyan as we speak, which is about taxation and budget. Taxation and budget. As we speak, the Budget Committee of the National Assembly is winding up its sessions. They concluded public hearings yesterday on the budget, 2024-2025 budget. They are today engaged in what we call in parliamentary parlance budget negotiations. That's where they're doing the horse trading, okay? So the question what we want to ask, where is the place of the citizen in that horse trading? We assume that the members of parliament who are in that committee are representing the citizens. So that is an assumption we must have in our mind. I am also aware that the committee that is dealing with the taxes, the Committee on Finance, is also undertaking public participation. Public participation. But let me start with the budget, because a lot has been said. But in summary, what I think is ailing this country, just like it does in most of the developing countries, is that we have refused to live within our means. We have refused to cut our cloth according to our size. So we keep on year in, year out, Your Excellency, developing budgets which we cannot possibly finance. That is the root cause of this overtaxation. Diana. Yes, the moment you have got an unrealistic budget with gaping holes, with serious budget deficits, you must look for money. Okay? And that is what has come to define this regime. The regime that has now been in power for the last 2 years. It is a regime that has now become synonymous with overtaxation, because it has refused to develop a reasonable budget. That is where we are. And therefore, if you look at the taxes they are now proposing, and I'm also told that some of them are a red herring, they will be dropping some of them because they are simply trying to test. To speak before I digress further, we are being treated to some shenanigans, some charade, some artificial differences within the regime that is ruling. You hear those differences they are talking about. Those are diversionary tactics, so that citizens can stop focusing on these punitive taxes. Kenyans are not bothered who is right or wrong within Kenya Kwanza. That is their problem, okay? But Kenyans are overly concerned about rising taxation, the ever-rising taxes that affect their daily lives at a personal level. So, these taxes, some of them are actually laughable. Because if you propose to tax vehicles, and you know vehicles are very expensive to own. First and foremost, you buy them very expensively. And then you want to introduce new taxes on vehicles which have already been bought by vehicle users. And yet you know some of these vehicles are tools of work. Kenyans buy vehicles as tools of work. Many Kenyans. Okay? Take, for example, the commercial vehicles. They are tools of work. They are business tools. You are simply trying to say that you want to make business as expensive as possible. The end loser is the common citizen. The common citizen. Because the cost of doing business, once it rises, the business persons must pass it to somebody. And it's the common person. So that tax, that particular tax, must be rejected. And we shall stand firm to ensure that it does not see the light of the day. I heard some of my colleagues in parliament say that if you don't want to pay the vehicle tax, then leave your vehicle at home or stop buying a vehicle. You know, that is the height of insensitivity. The height of insensitivity. Take the issue of the tax on bread. There is a good reason why bread has all this time been zero rated. Very good reason. Then you wake up one morning, you want to introduce 16% VAT on bread. You are simply telling Kenyans that they are on their own. And not forgetting that these are in addition to the 2023 taxes that have continued to choke the ordinary mwananchi. We haven't forgotten the tax on fuel, the infamous tax on fuel. We haven't forgotten the forced tax on housing that is choking people who are working. So in addition to all punitive taxes, you are introducing new ones. Madam Dana very well in dealing with that, so I don't want to belabor. I don't want to belabor. So then, what do we do? My appeal to Kenyan citizens is to remain vigilant. Even though you have elected your representatives in parliament, don't abdicate your cardinal and patriotic responsibility of remaining vigilant and holding the government, including those that you have elected, to account. That cardinal responsibility cannot be taken away from you. Because ultimately, as our constitution decrees, the ultimate power is vested in you. Ultimate power. So in this journey, I want to plead that we work together with Kenyans, even as we battle out with the Kenya Kwanza regime on this matter of budget and taxation. Coming back to the Nadco, because I want to be very brief. You know, Nadco did not just come as a by the way. I remember last year, to be exact, on the 13th of April, we were here. We came here to engage with the civil society as members of Azimio. It was at the height of the mass action. It was at the height of the demonstrations. We came here. Kenyans through police brutality. And many others were maimed. And that is why we went to the table under the able leadership of His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka on our side. And therefore, the outcome of the Nadco process cannot be rubbished. But it is worrying that since November last year, this is now May, 6 months or so later, since the report was unveiled at the Hilton Garden Hotel in November last year, we are now in June actually. No single bill has gone through out of the 9 bills. The only bill that is nearing completion is the IBC amendment bill. The others are lying somewhere. It has always to take our pushing for those bills to be moved. So we want to commit that on our part we shall continue to push that these bills be fast-tracked and they be enacted into law. But on the IBC bill, briefly, you know, every Kenyan citizen has got the right to representation. Can you imagine that since April 27th last year, when the Speaker of the National Assembly declared the Banisa parliamentary seat vacant in Mandera, the Banisa constituency parliamentary seat has remained vacant to date. They have no MP in parliament because the MP died. May his soul rest in eternal peace. And the reason is that there has been no IBC in place. So I would have imagined that those who are in power would be moved to fast-track the IBC amendment bill and say within 2 months from November last year we have it in place. And here we are. Here we are. So the people of Banisa and very many other wards that have also lost MCAs deserve to be represented. And therefore it is important that this bill be concluded and it becomes an act of parliament for an IBC to be constituted, for the IBC to be reconstituted, so that it can continue to undertake its mandate. But more importantly again is the issue of the limitation of boundaries. That has to be done through the constitutional amendment that is proposed. Because as you know, we are already 3 months late. We are three months past the deadline for the limitation that was to happen by March this year. So for the delimitation to happen now, we have to open that bracket again, that window. That can only happen through an amendment to the Constitution, which we have proposed through Nadco. Again, it is the right of every Kenyan to be represented. We know for sure that there has been a lot of gerrymandering in the past with constituency boundaries. And that's why we can't afford to go to the next elections without a delimitation and review of boundaries. I keep on hearing the mantra of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. The best place to deal with it is through this delimitation first. I keep on hearing. I don't know whether it is official policy of Kenya Kwanza or UDA. I'm not sure. You know, a person occupying a high office as a DP, a deputy president, cannot just voice an opinion. He must be speaking the official policy. So we don't know whether it is official policy of Kenya Kwanza now that we go 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. We are waiting to hear. But we want to challenge everybody who is responsible to first and foremost focus on fast-tracking the amendment bill on the Constitution. For us to get it right from the word go. Finally, it's on the political parties. It's also an amendment to the Political Parties Act that has been proposed with far-reaching recommendations, if only to strengthen the institution of political parties as the foundation of our multi-party democracy. I am glad Madam Anne Ruto is here. She has been very, very useful in her current role as a registrar of political parties. We shall continue to work closely with her as we midwife this process. We shall continue, Your Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, to work with the registrar of political parties. She has been very supportive. Very, very supportive. So I don't want to really go beyond that. For now, I want to sit back and listen to the citizens. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless you.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Opiyo Wandayi for those very important